Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your home for gaming, tech, news, and reviews. In today's video, we are taking a look at the VOYEE Xbox 360 controller. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, I'm a big fan of the Xbox 360 controller, and I'm a big fan of the Xbox One controller. VOYEE reached out to me and asked if I'd take a look, give them a fair and honest review of their Xbox 360 controller that also works with Windows. It was a pretty easy yes from me. Now, taking a quick peek at the box here, it says it's compatible with Xbox 360 Slim, Xbox 360, and Windows 7, 8, and 10. Looking at the back of the box here, there's some very interesting information surrounding the warranty. 45 days money back guarantee and 365 days free replacement. That's pretty huge for a third-party controller. This controller comes in 3 different colors, black, white, and pink. The version that they sent me is the black version. Inside the box contains the controller and an instruction manual. There are a couple of things I want to point out in this instruction manual. On the left-hand side is VOYEE's contact information. So if you run into any issues with the controller and need support, all the information you need is right here. On the right-hand side of the manual is very interesting. It says things you should know, and the very first thing you should know actually doesn't apply to this controller. It says supply power for controller with 2 AA batteries or rechargeable battery. This controller does not have any spot for batteries or a rechargeable battery at all. It's a wired controller. There is no compartment in this. So point number 1 is a little bit confusing. Point number 3 is very interesting. I don't think I have ever seen any sort of company be as brutally honest about their product as VOYEE. It says the performance of this controller is a bit weaker than that of Microsoft, but better than other third-party controllers and cost-effective. So they're admitting right out of the gates that it's not as good as the Microsoft controller, but it's better than other third-party controllers. So obviously, I'm really curious to put this to the test. Now, taking a look at the controller, the USB cable is different than that of the regular Xbox 360 controller, and I'll hold them up side by side soon. On this one here, the back looks identical. I'm actually really surprised at how close this looks. On the front of the controller, the VOYEE logo here is a little crooked. That's weird. It's printed on here, so it's not like it's a sticker or anything. It's just printed crooked. Now, bringing the controller just a little bit closer to the camera to give you a better view. The plastic on this, the fit and finish is actually really nice. It's extremely comparable to the actual 360 controller. The overall fit and finish for a third-party controller is very impressive here. The thumbsticks, the buttons, the D-pad all look incredibly nice. Here is the VOYEE controller side by side with the official Microsoft Xbox 360 wired controller. Now, the VOYEE controller does look a little bit nicer because it's brand new. The Xbox 360 controller isn't the newest controller out there. It has seen its fair share of use. And lifting up the controller, the VOYEE feels a little bit lighter than the Xbox 360 controller, but not by much. The bottoms of both of these controllers are almost identical. What I can see though from this angle is that the VOYEE controller thumbstick looks a little bit thicker at the top than that of the official Microsoft controller on the bottom. The back of the controllers are nearly identical as well. The tops of the controllers are almost identical as well. The big difference here is the labeling on the official Xbox 360 controller. Now, testing out the thumbsticks on these controllers isn't the best comparison considering the official controller is well used and well worked in, but the VOYEE thumbsticks do feel all right. I wouldn't say they feel as good as the Microsoft Xbox 360 controller, but they feel okay. They're pretty serviceable and a lot better than a lot of the other third-party controllers I've used. The clickiness between the thumbsticks on both controllers was incredibly similar. There wasn't much of a difference at all between the VOYEE and the official Xbox 360 controller. The face buttons on these controllers also felt extremely similar. I didn't notice much of a difference here, but where I did notice a difference were on the bumper buttons for both controllers. The VOYEE bumper buttons were far easier to press in and had far less give than the Microsoft Microsoft 360 controller. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to tell this on the video, but the triggers on the VOYEE controller do not press in as far as they do on the Microsoft controller. So you can see the difference between the two here. The VOYEE triggers stick out just a little bit more when they're fully pressed in. Now, in terms of overall cord length, the VOYEE cord is a little bit shorter than the Microsoft controller. You can see the difference here. The extra cord on the Microsoft controller is actually the difference in length. I tested out this controller on a bunch of different games and really put it through its paces, and I think it held up pretty darn good. It held up a lot better than I thought it was going to. It performed almost identically to that of the official Microsoft controller, to be honest with you. It wasn't as good, but it was pretty darn close. One of the things I was worried about were the triggers, actually, because they didn't press down as far as the official Microsoft controller, but at the end of the day, it didn't make a difference at all. Now comes the question, is it worth it? On Amazon.com, this controller is listed for $17.99 with a 4-star rating with a whopping 1,241 ratings. So I would say this controller is pretty popular and pretty highly rated, all things considered. In Canada, the controller goes for about $26 overall with just about half of the ratings and still at a 4-star rating. I think this is a pretty fair price for the controller, whether you pay $18 in the States or $25 in Canada. To me, this is an ample third-party controller for the Xbox 360 or even the PC. Another thing to consider here is that these controllers have a full 1-year warranty, and I think that's a really good thing. All things considered, and to be completely fair, a lot of third-party controllers, well, even first-party controllers actually have issues, and they break at random times. And with third-party controllers, you don't necessarily know the longevity of the controller. The fact that these have a full 1-year warranty for a whopping $18, which isn't very much at all, is pretty good. It's not necessarily something I'd be overly concerned about. And scrolling down in their listing here, there's one thing I really want to point out, and I think it sums it up perfectly. This says a perfect replacement or an extra controller for you. While this is not as good as the official Microsoft Xbox 360 controller, it's a pretty good second, and if you need an extra controller or just need a basic controller to play with, I think this is absolutely fine. So if you're in the market for a new gamepad for your Xbox 360 or for your PC and you like the 360 controller, you can't really go wrong with a VOYEE here, considering the overall price and how close it is to the actual 360 controller. Let me know what you think about this VOYEE controller in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Thank you everyone, take care.